Welcome to another episode of Rebel Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Katie.
I am your other host, Michelle. Welcome. Today we have a fabulous guest, my friend Kevin Calaguiro. We've known each other for about 25 years, met in university. He's been just a really good friend to me for so many years. I'm happy to have him on the podcast. He is the creator of our fabulous logo as well.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. And I'm going to throw it to him to say a little bit more about himself, like who he is and what he does.
Hello. Yes, Michelle, we met actually on the first day of university. I remember it vividly, in fact. And I'm so glad that we did because you've been a wonderful friend to me all these years. But yes, I am Kevin and I am a creative living in Toronto. And here I am. I'm on this podcast to talk about my crazy.
You're crazy?
Sure.
I love that. I think more people should be excited about talking about their crazy. I mean, we all have some, right? We all have it.
Tell us a little bit more about what an art director does, like broad strokes.
I mean, I think an art director can do many things at many different organizations. I work at Deloitte Canada, which is a professional services firm, and they have an in-house agency, and we make the ads for Deloitte and all of the various industries that we serve. So it could be about AI, it could be about, for a while it was climate change, but they've moved away from it.
We've solved that problem?
It's over. Yeah, everything's fine.
Great.
But now there's other things that we focus on. And I make the ads, static ads, video ads, all of that type of thing. And it's lots of fun for a professional services firm. And I work with really nice people.
What would a typical day kind of look like in terms of what you're doing?
Working with the designers to create the ads for LinkedIn and Instagram, and mostly LinkedIn and Google and that type of thing. Meeting with the marketing people and hearing what they want, and then going and doing it, and then revising it, and then sending it to them, and then getting the feedback.
I can imagine there's so many layers to those type of projects.
Well, the organization itself is so heavily matrixed, and there's a lot of voices and opinions and stuff that you have to sort of navigate. I find that the best projects that I work on have a small group of people doing them and a small stakeholder group and approval process. I'm lucky. I find that the group that I work in is kind of different from the rest of the work that our group does. And so we're kind of left alone. And that's great because we can do what we do and get it out there, and it's kind of quick and dirty style. And we just keep moving along. And we made good money for the firm. So everyone's happy.
Oh, good. I'm curious how you arrived at that. I know when I met you, you were in business school. So
yeah. What a mistake.
It's not like a mismatch right at the beginning, but there's kind of a twisty turny story.
I chose, it's TMU now, but it was called Ryerson then. And I was in, I don't even remember what it was called. Oh, retail management. And I chose it because I remember being young and thinking, oh, I need to be a business guy, But I knew I wanted to be in Toronto. I grew up in the suburbs of Toronto, and I knew I wanted to be here. And I chose TMU because I remember getting into U of T, but something within me knew that like TMU was going to be right for me. So I remember choosing retail management because they said you could be a buyer. I didn't really know what that was, but I always have loved shopping. It was like a pastime of my father and I when I was a kid. We would go to Sherway Gardens. They had these big, comfy leather chairs in the middle of the mall, and he would just sit there and sleep, and I would shop and just go back and drop off my bags. And it was like such a wonderful memory of mine with my father. We would drive in from Burlington, and it was great. I loved it. So I knew that I loved to shop, and I thought that buying was going to be right for me. But almost in first semester, I just hated it. It sucked, and I didn't care, and it wasn't about fashion, and it wasn't anything that I was interested in.
You weren't buying anything.
No, there was no buying. And And I wasn't doing well in it either. And that was surprising. I was always a strong student and I always, got good grades and I wasn't doing well. And I didn't really understand that part either. And then in second semester, I found the clubs and I just
Like,
had a
hold on,
lot of
hold
fun.
on. Do you mean like school clubs or like clubs at
No,
night?
the nightclubs.
Like raves.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, I found that. And
Well, it's so close to the village, right? TMU,
right.
you're right
Yeah.
down there. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even realize that, but like now looking back, it was like it was perfect that I like chose TMU because it was just down the street. I remember when you move to the city, you don't know where anything is. And I remember walking up from, I lived in Pittman Hall, which is like down the street from the village. And I remember walking up and then being like, oh my God, like, does anyone else know? And it was just phenomenal. And I would go to the Starbucks and buy a friggin' coffee and just sit there for hours and wish someone would talk to me. And I was a teen and it was my first real exposure to the queer community. And it was awesome.
So you got a
That's
little
amazing.
derailed that second semester.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I got into
Well,
the parties
so
and
I
then I
mean, you
flunked
could,
out.
so is that a derailment or were you actually getting closer to the path that ended up being better for
Right?
you? I
Exactly.
wonder, right? Yeah.
True.
It was
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I never would have made it through, and I actually didn't flunk out. I just didn't go back for second semester. I met a girl, Amanda, and we went to Asia, and didn't go back. And I moved back in with my father and lived in Burlington again. It was awful. I worked a drive-through window, and I was really good at it. They usually had two people on the window, but I could do it all by myself. So I was always a top performer. And then I found my way back up to Toronto and I went to TMU for fashion communications. And it was just everything I had hoped for. And I loved it. And, I didn't do design like making the clothes. It was the kind of the creative around the fashion industry. So photo shoots and ads and stuff like that. All the stuff that I do now, but just not fashion. But it was great. And I met my best friend there and we lived in a great apartment that was a disaster, but tons of fun. And it was awesome. It all ended up working out.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's sort of, there's like a theme, it sounds like to me anyway, there's a theme of like having had specific plans that I think a lot of us do. We grow up and we have sort of a script around like what next steps are supposed to look like. And even as a 19 or 20-year-old, you kind of think you know what the next, few steps or whatever are for yourself. And it sounds like despite your best interests, and I mean this with such, affection, like you kept going in particular directions and then whether it was the universe or something that kept kind of like nudging you kept getting
Mm.
nudges going in a different direction somehow.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I have never been a terribly strategic person in my life. I kind of vibe life and have been really lucky, to have been connected to wonderful people. Some bad seeds in there for sure, but I think I have a good like sense of myself in a lot of ways, and a good sense of like what I'm willing to deal with and interact with. And so, yeah, I haven't really, there's been no plan that I've put into effect. And in some ways, I feel like now in my career, I feel like maybe I should have been more strategic because I find myself at a place where I'm like, what is my next move? Is it just getting another job or how am I going to make this job into a better job? I don't totally know how to do that. And I see other people who are younger than me and further along in their careers and I just see the drive that they have, but also the skills that they have are so different from mine. Like they're business thinkers and I don't know how to do that. I see them do it and I'm like, oh brother, like I get kind of bored by it.
I've always admired your like spontaneity and
Hmm.
that you are willing to kind of go with what feels right or what is bringing you joy or happiness or whatever the kind of pull is, that you're not willing to just be bored and suck it up and keep kind of marching along on the path you think you should be on. So yeah, it's kind of taken you like this, but I wonder if part of what makes you good at your job is that you have that kind of free-spirited nature and artistic eye in a different way that I'm not sure
Hmm.
that people that focus solely on business really
Yep.
cultivate that creativity in themselves. And I just feel like you've been like a spark since you came into the world.
Yes. I mean, I am my father's only son, and he raised me, and I was his pride and joy and his little star. And I am all of the crazy that comes along with that. But I love it too, like I definitely am the main character in my own delusional film, and I joy in it, like I learned and I mean, it's not like I just want all the attention. I've learned how to get attention for better or for worse sometimes. But I remember being young and realizing how I could make people laugh and the power of that and the excitement of it, just getting. I remember it was like I remember the first joke, the first moment where I was like, what is this? Like, what is this moment? It was like we were bowling. It was with my father and his friends, and they were all bowling. And I was there. My father brought me along to everything because he didn't have a sitter and all the rest of it. But like, I was always the only kid in a bunch of adults. And so I would hear all their conversations and hear what they were talking about. And I would always be privy to that sort of adult stuff. I remember we were bowling and then we were sitting around and they were having drinks and whatnot. Somebody had a girlfriend there. And then he said that he just got a new Corvette. And I said, well, what are you with her for? And it was such a bitchy thing to say to her. She had been nothing but nice to me the entire time. But I just knew that, like, I had chatted with her a little bit and I was a little kid and I didn't even really know what was happening. But they just went to, even her, like, they loved it. I mean, the fact that a little kid was kind of saying this and it was off color and it was a little rude. And I
Your
just,
brand.
Trash talking.
it was exactly my brand. It's been with me since I was like 7 years old. Like I was a little kid and I just latched onto
Right.
that.
Okay, so we were talking about how brilliant and amazing you were as a child and you charmed everyone, and this became your personal brand. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm curious about that moment when it felt like you felt that rush of like excitement or power or even just like confusion, like what just happened? What was
I
that?
remember in the car ride home, my father said, he's like, yeah, Kevin, like that was a really funny joke you made. And he said, but you have to be careful. Be careful what you say. And I was like, yeah, but it was so great. And he's like, I know this time it was good, but like you might say something another time and it might not work and you might get in trouble. And he always said this because I have been saying the wrong thing my entire life. And so he always said this to me. He said, you can't take the dong back after you've rung the bell. And I know it. And I still like, even in the moments when something happens and it's just in my mouth and I can hear him and I'm like, do it, just do it, like
Risk the dong.
exactly. But
I wonder if like sometimes that's what makes it more exciting, right? Is
totally.
like you were confused at first and then he kind of maybe explained or at least explained the part of it where you could get into trouble and you were like, ooh, this has so much power. Like I could get into
Hmm.
trouble. That's actually exciting as well. Pushing the
Yeah.
envelope.
I mean, pushing the envelope is like I want to push the envelope even in like the creative work that I'm doing that isn't about being rude or shocking or anything like that. I do just want to push the envelope and push things as far as I'm able to get them to go, just so that I'm growing and changing. But in terms of being provocative, I do enjoy that as well. Over the years, when things don't go right and people are upset by them, it makes me feel bad because I always want to do it so that everyone enjoys the moment. But it is in some ways a bit of a test for people to say because as a gay person, as like I was bullied heavily when I was young, and like you always want to like no matter whatever room you're walking into, you want to kind of get the lay of the land and make sure that you're safe. And I think by being kind of provocative from the jump, I kind of just like level the playing field in a lot of ways and can, in like people who are into it or are not into it, I'm just like, great, now I know, this is my group and this is not my group.
So it
Um,
sounds like kind of a litmus test. A
fully.
super quick way to know where you are, right?
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, it's not fair to some people as well because they might get there in time, but right out of
Hmm.
the gate, they're like, who the hell is this person? And in some ways, I've been told that it can put them into a difficult situation. You know, if I'm telling jokes that are inappropriate or rude or make people feel on the edge and they laugh at them or don't laugh at them, they can feel awkward about making that decision and me forcing them into that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like
Mm.
your strategy was like to go in like what's guns blazing? I don't like that term, but
Yeah.
what you know what I mean? Like as, where someone else might be like, okay, I don't know if people are okay with queer people or are going to be able to like vibe with me. I'm going to hang out in the corner. I'm going to watch for a while. Like that would have been my strategy. I would have been like, don't notice me,
Hmm.
you know, like, and it's like you kind of went the other way.
Totally.
But I hear how that, you know, can complicate things for you.
And I think especially now as an older person, and I'm at the middle management level, so definitely not high up in the firm, but I am still a man, like I'm considered a leader, you know, and I've been told many times, you're a leader, you need to act like one.
Like whether
Um,
you like it or not, you're a leader.
and I also
Okay.
think that my style of leadership is still valid, but you know, we are in a much more conservative environment these days, and there just is less room for to kind of push that envelope. And I also think that there's opportunity for me to professionalize myself, you know. The one thing I got from one of my leaders was that you put me in a difficult situation when you're being provocative around me because in a one-on-one moment maybe it'd be cool, but in that kind of other setting when they're the leader and if they're laughing at a joke that's a little off color that maybe somebody else didn't really like, then what have I done to their leadership? That made a lot of sense to me and I really connected with that, and I haven't totally found my way around it. Now I feel like when I am interacting with these senior leaders, I'm kind of like, I have the joke on the tip of my tongue, but I'm kind of nervous about saying that joke. And so I want to pull it back like 35%. But then I kind of feel like, oh, that the 65% version of this joke isn't even worth it, you know? And then I walk away from the whole situation feeling kind of drained because I didn't just live, you know, and I didn't just flow. And in some ways, I'm like, do I want to even do it, you know?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
in that environment.
yeah, I can hear that tension, right? Like, because I was gonna say how you were describing it is like you actually have a good intent, right? Like you're trying to
Yes.
make everybody laugh, like, and that you actually are quite kind-hearted.
Mm.
And so that's kind of your intent, but then there's impact, right? And it's sort of like that's what your leader is sharing with you. But this is the impact of you, and it doesn't matter your intent because that doesn't necessarily
Right?
translate.
Totally, totally. So yeah, I think it really is going to be to use a professional services firm word, the unlock for me in my career is to like figure out how to harness the joie de vivre that I do have,
Hmm.
but wrap it in a professional sleeve so that I can really shine, you know, in the way that they want me to, and also a way that feels authentic to me.
I love that. And what I also like about what I'm hearing you say is that as you discuss this whole thing, I'm not hearing a lot of self-judgment. It's not like good, bad. It's more like there's a whole variety of responses. And what I'm hearing you say is you're really sort of interrogating this idea of fit. I could do
Hmm.
any of these different things, but given what I want to get out of this interaction, what kind of impact I'd like to make on this other person, and then what feels in alignment with me, where is that balance, I think.
Hmm.
And the reason I bring that up is because I think Michelle and I, with our clients, talk a lot about creative adaptations, sort of these strategies that we all create for ourselves as to, get along in the world. And sometimes when people bump up against, it works well in my professional life, but not my personal, or vice versa, there's a lot of self-judgment around it. And I love this idea that no, it's just fit actually. Right. And so
Mm.
with that awareness, you're like, so it's like you're curating. You're not being inauthentic. You don't ever have to be inauthentic necessarily. It's just about which pieces do I choose to share at what time. Does that make sense?
I mean, I think that that is like the real struggle for me
Mm.
to, in the moment, decide and to do that kind of
Hmm.
curation, because my best stuff, it comes from like not having that sort, like just from head to mouth, you know.
Connect. Yeah.
And so now
Like
it
like
is,
no editing. Is that what you're saying?
and I was like, okay, maybe I just like don't do that in this professional environment. And I figure out a way to like find another outlet. And I mean, I'm not a comedian, but I love comedians. And I was like, do I try and do some stand-up stuff? Like, I mean, that's also terrifying as well, to like put yourself on a stage in that sense. But I mean, I have been thinking about like how I can sort of get that part out of me in an environment that will champion it and welcome it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
That
I like that
supports that
idea,
aspect.
like to have the agency, like to make like a conscious choice. And it sounds like
Hmm.
you're kind of thinking of like turning the volume down in the professional environment and like turning the volume up in this other environment, right? To help kind of like
Hmm.
balance your needs and desires. Yeah, I could see you commanding a crowd.
Oh, I definitely
I just
can.
picture you on a
That's
stage. Like I picture you on a stage doing something. So it's like I don't know
Yeah.
what that is, but I'm just like, yeah,
Well, I
you
mean, I love being looked at, and I love to say things that are crazy, I really do love it. And I mean, I have my Instagram, I make these kind of stupid videos, but
love
just
your videos. They're so
think
good.
thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of stumbled upon them really late. Like I only started doing them maybe a year and a half ago. But just these little videos that I would make. I've always, it's so delusional, but I do love it. But I've always felt like a star. And I'm just like, how come no one else sees it? Why am I not getting that fame,
okay. Yeah.
Is there anything you feel like you want to explore more?
Mhm.
Like I don't really know my life. I don't have a strategy connected to this call.
It's perfect. So I love when you just said that on this call that we're doing, you don't really have a strategy, which is kind of like your life.
Yeah.
And I love that because, Michelle and I do a lot of work with our clients around felt sense. And this idea of Gestalt is that your mind and your body are all connected. And instead of having an external plan, it's more about can you trust yourself to be authentic in the moment and
Mm.
respond spontaneously to what is actually happening, right? So you trust your ability to kind of be responsive as opposed to reactive. And it sounds like you have developed some amazing skills in that regard. Yeah, responding to what's happening.
Yeah, I think I'm like maybe where some people need to do it more, I need to do it less.
Honestly, I think
And
that's what makes us really good friends. We're kind of like,
right?
I need a bit more of you, you need a bit
Complimentary.
more of me. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean it's again though like I think like I do therapy. It's been so helpful for me over the past like 4 years. I had done therapy in my life before and always kind of didn't connect to it or didn't have
Hmm.
wasn't it just wasn't vibing.
Yep.
And I think also I needed to have my midlife crisis to like really like pull into focus how much I needed to get my shit together.
Amazing.
And then I was lucky enough to just meet my therapist, and they just were able to help me, like in when I was in really a tough moment in my life that I didn't know how to get out of. And it's been wonderful to kind of do that. But
I'm curious about that because we often talk about how people can determine whether someone's a good fit for them or not. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you didn't find that until that moment. What was it that connected for you that you felt like it was a good fit for you?
I mean, I was really beating myself up for something, and they just helped me to see it in a different way and to kind of deal with, like, I was just like, I'm bad. What am I going to do? I'm a bad person. And they were like, maybe you're not bad. Well, you're not bad, and maybe you're not just this kind of person. Maybe you're this kind of. And I was like, what's that? So that's how they really were able to help me. They're a good therapist and very compassionate, very chill. And yeah, it worked out. And I was really fortunate.
How did you test them to see if they would be able to kind of vibe with your humor or just like your approach?
Well, I do make them laugh, but I think also like
Mhm.
I think it's a bit of an armor that I use. And I could tell at the beginning I was like, just wanting them to like me. And it's kind of interesting because I'm like, I think I have. I mean, maybe they're just a good therapist and they're like, sure, this idiot needs to be liked, so I'll like them, you know? But I did want them to like me, and so I would make them laugh, and they would laugh. But I mean, when you make people laugh, like that's the beauty of being funny, is that like when you really are making someone laugh, it's impossible to hide. They just do it, you know? That's why I love it so much, because it is not a lie. It is so authentic and it is so real. And I feel like in professional life and also kind of in gay world, there's a lot of inauthenticity and a lot of fakeness. And that's why I have always loved humor, because it just cuts through it. But no, I mean, how did it all work out? I think it just worked out. Like, and what did I do? I don't know. I think it's what they did. I think they really were able to figure out how to help me and help me through that moment, and also help me in a myriad of other things that they're very different from me. But I think they're also a little shit as well, you know, like they like to push the envelope and are kind of like for that more than against that. And I'm like, you
Awesome.
know, I actually think like I need to tell Jet to like, maybe instead of being like, yeah, yeah, do it, we need to pull it back and be like, why?
But at the end of the day, it sounds like you found a therapist who was able to meet you, right?
100%. Like,
Yeah, so it's not about being the same at all. It's about being
no.
able to sort of see and be with, I think. Yeah?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I have had like just incredible. I usually do my therapy at the office, like just because it's in the day. And I was having like a full meltdown. It was a beautiful moment, and I was so happy to go through it with them. But I was just sobbing, like sobbing in a way. I remember at the end of it, I hugged my computer because it's all virtual, like because I was just so
Ah,
exposed and naked in my craziness. But it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And in the next room, I could hear in the next office some partner just going ham on his team. Like, if we don't get this out to the client, we're never going to work again. And you guys need to get your shit together. And it was just hilarious to hear him yelling and me just sobbing. And it's just life at Deloitte.
what a juxtaposition. I'm impressed.
There you go. You could be a comedian.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
what's that?
absolutely. Okay, hold on.
I
I
like
did
that
it.
idea for you. How would you do it?
I think it's just about,
Get out
getting a
there?
couple of jokes together and like getting the courage to go up and do them, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, and just trying it out. I really have been like, try it, just
Yeah.
even if you suck at it, and like just try it out.
Like there's this voice in your head going, do it, do
Right.
it.
That same voice.
Hmm.
Do you always trust
What
that
do you
voice?
Yeah, for better or for worse. I'm trying to think about how could we wrap it up in something that connects to everything that I don't even really know what I've just said, you know?
Well, I mean, we did kind of just explore what you had said before about
Yep.
humor, like how you
Hmm.
developed using that as armor and the double-edged sword
Hmm.
of that.
Spontaneity.
I don't know. I don't know. I was just thinking like we do like to take a positive bend on this podcast, but not in a fake way, not in like a
Hmm.
but I don't know. I think just like how much you enjoy life, how much you get out of the humor, like that. Essentially, that it's like worth it to have to navigate it, like
Oh,
having developed
sure.
this skill. Do you know what I mean? Like you developed this skill because you had actually challenges in your childhood, and
Hmm.
you've actually like it's a hard won skill. It's like you fought for it in the trench, and it's like it
Hmm.
was your armor, and so
Yeah.
it's like now it's like you can choose to when you put it on or not, but it's like a superpower in a way.
Well, and I think it's also like, that's what has been so difficult for me to stop using it in my life or in every setting, because it has been you're like what you say, like I have fought for it. And I feel like when I am being funny and making jokes, it is me at my most authentic. And so when I'm told, maybe chill it out or like think, I'm like, but that's me, like I want to say the joke, and it
Yeah.
makes me, it really excites me.
Does it ever hurt your feelings, like when because it is like you're trying to express yourself authentically, or like it feels like you, and then people are like, no, no, be a little less you. Okay.
No,
You
no,
don't take it
because
because you think it's all on
this,
them.
no, no, no. It's like, this is the thing with humor, especially in the things that I think are funny. It isn't just the throwaway joke where it'll get a chuckle. I accept that what I'm doing and what I'm saying is on the line, and people are not going to like it, and I'm going to use language that they won't like. And when that happens, I accept it. I've had people come tell me that they didn't like what I said, and it makes me feel bad that they didn't enjoy it. And then I think about it, and then I usually apologize, because it's not like these are my fans or people at a show. These are people I know in my life. So I'm going to see them, and I want to have good relationships with people. For the most part, people, like, it's not like, oh, you said this one thing and now I can't ever talk to you again, like they're just like, I don't really like that. And I'm like, I get it. So I do accept that, like, making jokes, being provocative is not going to land with everybody all the time. The goal is that everyone enjoys it, but it doesn't happen all the time. And I don't, maybe in the moment I might double down, but usually I can go away and think about it. I usually talk to my husband, who is like way more chill than I am, and he's able to kind of see it from a whole bunch of different angles. He's my second therapist for sure.
There's nothing weird about that at all. No, but it sounds like you have like relationships that can handle it, like that even if you do hurt someone's feelings, they're willing
Yeah.
to at least like tell you so that you can make like the repair as opposed to just being like, well, fuck Kevin.
I also think that I am present in those moments, like I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, conflict is not abuse. Matthew told me this, it's a name of a book, I think. Tension, conflict, it is part of life, and it doesn't scare me. I think it scares a lot of people, but I'm not afraid of it. And, whenever I've had conflict with people and we've sat down and discussed it, we always come out the other end better for it, and it is like, if you can just talk about it and be vulnerable and not talk around it, really talk about it,
Yeah.
then I think that that's when you can just get to an understanding.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Out there.
And thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us. And, tell your fans where
Uh,
they can find you. And I'm going to go check out your videos because I'm so intrigued now.
yeah, I'm on Instagram, baby, Kevin Calaguiro, all one word, and that's where I am. And check me out. They're quick clips that are kind of chaotic, just like me.
Amazing.
Well,
I
yeah, I
love
was
that.
gonna say that I feel like you've like mastered some like part of yourself that you've been able to distill into these like quick videos where there's always like a turn at the end, and you
Mm.
use a visual language with it, which I find really works with it. It just feels like accumulation of you in some way. That's fun.
Yeah, thank you. I love them. They're a fun part. And I mean, I don't post all the time. I make them when they pop up in life, I'm not like making it happen so that I can make a video. I just, whenever a moment happens and I feel it, then I do it. And they're like, 6, 7 seconds long. And that's just what they are. But I do love them.
Well, that feels like the theme of what we've talked about today, that you have to like actually genuinely feel something before
Right?
you be willing to act on it.
Exactly. And you're right, that place, my Instagram page, is a place where I can feel totally authentic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So
everyone's got to check it out.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kevin. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.